Every year, more families are choosing to homeschool their children. Each family, of course, has different reasons as to why. But in Brunswick County, a request is looking to give more options for how students learn online. WCT's Raina Crooms has been looking further into this. Raina, today the Brunswick County Schools Committee will meet and possibly take action on expanding the Brunswick Virtual Academy.
Yes, good morning, Kim. Last month, the committee was introduced to this request. The ask is to expand the online platform to K through 12 students, providing more course options. Now, if this goes through, the ask is for the program to be geared towards students who already do online schooling. Based on what was shared in the last meeting, the current Brunswick County Virtual Academy is offered to students in 6th through 12th grades. The program is for students who are at risk of dropping out or have long-term illnesses. The ask is to expand to more grade levels, with first beginning with students who homeschool in Brunswick County but are not considered to be students of the school district. During the last meeting, it was discussed that looping children into the school district would allow them to ensure certain standards are still being met and students are being held accountable. This meeting where this is being discussed is happening later this morning at 9 o'clock, and I was told that the district would be open to talking more about this possible change afterwards. So Kim, I'll keep you updated on what the committee decides to do about this expansion.
All right, Raina, thanks for the update.